going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the channel. I do hope you're doing well. Thank you for stopping by. As ever, I really appreciate it. Before we get going, just on what I'm going to talk about today, I just wanted to say, holy cow, the number of views that I had on my last video just talking about transfers as a whole. So the number of views that I got on that video was just insane. I hit the algorithm just absolutely perfectly on that one, and just everything was good. I really appreciate comments, people agreeing, people disagreeing. It was really, really good to see, and the fact that I managed to pick up like 100 subscribers, and it's taken me past the 200 subscriber mark for a small channel like myself. When something like that happens, it's really motivating, and it's a big thanks to anybody that took the time to watch the video, that took the time to comment on it, to like it, to share, to do whatever. I really do appreciate it, and thank you ever so much. It seemed to hit quite a good, strong point on, or it hit a chord with some people, I should say anyway. So before we get into the video again, if you could hit that subscribe button if you've not done so already. If you could also hit the like button, and if you've got any comments, please feel free, leave them in the comment section down below. As ever, I appreciate it. It's really good to have conversations with people. It's really nice to see people's opinions and have sensible debate with people. Like I said, my opinion is my opinion. People are going to agree with me, they're not going to agree with me, and that's fine. That's what we're here for. That's the whole point of a commentary channel. That's the whole point of it being about views and opinions. It's so we can have some sort of discussion with it. So thank you, I appreciate it. So getting into Farke's press conference from today, which kind of sort of set clear the state of play. So just going through some of what Phil Hay tweeted out earlier on today. So Stroik and James still out, but they're making progress. Gray's back in training and available, so thank God. That's really, really important. And Somerville's fine after a minor fitness concerns last weekend. He talked a little bit about transfers in the last 24 hours of the window, and it's something that he said previously and something that I 100% agree with. And it's the fact that if there's a perfect fit, then we'll do it. If there isn't, then we won't. So the priority, and I think everybody knows what the priority is. The priority is defensive players. So we're looking at the one that springs to mind massively is obviously Connor Roberts. That's the one that really, really springs to mind to me for some reason. It's one that I believe, I agree with Just Joe. I think if anyone's going to really, really get done, it's probably going to be that one. But I think the important thing to note, and I know we all want transfers, I want transfers, but we shouldn't just be making transfers for transfers' sake. January is the worst time for doing that and making that kind of mistake, because it can backfire spectacularly. JKA as a prime example of that one. Weston McKennie, who we thought was going to be the second coming, again, another prime example of that. For me, they have to be able to go straight into the first team, or they have to, pretty much improve what we've got already. That's the whole idea of making the transfer and bringing the transfer in. Now, we all know for us, it's a left back, it's a right back, creative midfielder and number 10, potentially a number 9. So it's those 4 positions that we need. And I was watching Just Joe this morning, and I agree with what he said. Centre-backs were actually all right, because we've got 5 centre-backs now. The number 10 is now being filled by Rutter. We all cried for that to happen, and that's kind of now happened now. So that almost takes the number 10 out of the table, along with Gruev as well. Gruev's come to the fore quite a lot. Archie Gray is filling in superbly at right back. Thank God he's not injured. But also to point out, a lot of people seem to forget that in the youth setup, Gray played as a right back. So yes, we do need a right back 100%, but people forget that's a position that Gray is familiar with. It's not a completely alien position to him. So with that, I'm happy to a certain degree with where it is. We've got Firpo playing well, and Byram. They're just, obviously there's the injury proneness of the pair of them, so it's difficult to kind of say with any certainty that they're going to be there for the rest of the season without any injuries. It's always going to be a gamble. But for me, bringing signings in has to happen on the basis of they're going to walk straight into the first team and that they're going to better what we've already got. And we shouldn't just be bringing in transfers just to fill in positions. And I think Fark mentioned it in his press conference today. And he was mentioning it again, saying it's difficult to bring in players who will improve us. If you bring in a player in January, he has to help immediately. These players are pretty rare. It's difficult to make these deals happen. When you have a pretty tight group, it's quite clear Leeds are a really, really tight group. You have a lot of spirit and unity. Every player is needed. This is my experience. Sometimes unity and spirit is more important than individual quality. And I think what he is saying there is that there isn't a lot of time to bring somebody in to fit in with how the squad is, to get the squad, and to just be able to get on with it straight away. And there's a potential that if you just bring in a player for a player's sake and they're not getting all of the minutes that, you know, that go straight down the line, that that player then becomes disenfranchised. That then has a knock-on effect with everybody else. It's clear that Farker doesn't like that. He got rid of Jed Spence for that very reason, because his attitude absolutely stunk. And what did he also go on to say? I can guarantee that something will happen. I can't guarantee that something will happen in the next 24 hours. What I can guarantee is that we're trying until the last hour to make something happen. So clearly they are in the market and trying to make deals happen. But when you look at teams like Hull and bringing in Carvalho, the reason the Carvalho deal goes through for Hull is because Liverpool know that he is going to get guaranteed minutes at Hull. We can't sit here and we can't guarantee somebody minutes. So if you're a player coming into Leeds United, are you happy to come in as a January transfer? Because transfers in January tend to be for emergencies and to fill spaces. Are you happy to just come in and not be in the first team straight away and fight for your place? And unfortunately, those types of players, I think, are going to be very, very few and far between. Do I still think we'll get somebody across the line? I'm hopeful. I hope we do. I think there's a strong chance that we could do. It's just a case of waiting and seeing again. Farker went on to talk about Stroik's injury as well. He said it looks good. He's finished his injection therapy. There's progress in his healing. He's doing individual running, but definitely 2 weeks away from team training. Then he goes on to mention the fact that Leeds were close to a couple of deals which didn't work out in the end. Hinted that injury was a factor, which would apply to Hashioka. I hope I pronounced that right. The right back that we all got very, very upset about that we didn't sign, that we hadn't heard about until it was mentioned that he could potentially be coming over to us. But, you know, there you go, we move. Far corner of the business in the Championship, it doesn't affect what we want to do. We're definitely doing business that's sensible for Leeds United. It's not like we feel forced because an opponent is signing players. You do something if you're 100% convinced. So again, it's the factors that are within that. And I think that's a sensible approach to take. Again, I will say, yes, we need to sign a right back, 100%. But it has to be the right back for us. And you can't take you can't take the risk to bring somebody in that isn't going to have an immediate impact in the squad. The one player that I think that potentially could have an immediate impact in the squad, well, there's the two. There's Connor Roberts and there's also obviously Ben Godfrey as well. But the Ben Godfrey thing, I think we're miles away from that happening, purely because of the 75 grand wages that they want covered, that Everton want covered by whoever takes him on. And I think there's interest in Spain and Italy for Godfrey as well. So the chances of that happening are obviously very, very slim. So it's just a case of waiting and seeing how it's going to go. So I understand everybody's frustrations and I get it. And I get a lot of people saying that we are weaker since the start of January, or we're weaker now than what we were at the start of January. I would disagree to an extent. The only way that we're weaker is in sheer numbers of people, because we haven't lost any first team players, or within that first group, you like, of players. The only one realistically was Ayling, but he was never really going to get anywhere near the first team squad for me. He just wasn't at that moment in time. So you can understand why the Ayling thing happened. And in fairness to Ayling, he's earned that right to be able to move away. Obviously, there's a lot of stuff going on with Cooper at the moment. I think Cooper's come out and said that, even though I think Blackburn are interested, that he wants to stay at Leeds until at least the end of this season to help them get promoted. I think he sees it as the club captain as his duty to put right the wrongs, and you can't knock him from that whatsoever at all. I think Cooper is comfortable with his position. I think he knows that he's not a starting centre-back for us anymore. I think he knows that he's now a cover centre-back, and that's just going to be his role moving forward. So fair play to him. He gets it side before self. So we've got T-minus, 24... 25, 26, 27, 28, about 28 hours to go until the transfer window shuts, which is at 11 p.m. tomorrow. So we'll just have to wait and see if something happens and how it goes. And obviously I'll say something about it more at the end once it shuts. And it's a risk if we don't sign anybody. I think that. I understand the club's reasoning for doing it if we don't. However, we need that cover in defence. Midfield and attack, I'm almost happy with, because we've got one of the best midfielders and attacks in the Championship. So, yeah, it's the defensive side of things where we need the cover. But that's going to do it for this one. I just wanted to give like a bit of a state of play and an update video in terms of Fafaka's press conference. And, yeah, let me know what you think in the comment section down below. I know the majority of people are going to say that we need to sign somebody, and it's absolutely ridiculous. And we do the same thing every year, and we've done it every single transfer window. The one thing that I will say is that we did brilliantly in the summer transfer window, and this is the 49ers' second window by themselves, where they haven't had to put up with Radrizzani and that absolute freak of nature that is Orta, but, you know, we move. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. If you haven't done so already, if you could subscribe, like the video, share it. Like I said, I'm here for your comments and anything that you've got to say, but we will leave it at that one, and we will probably talk again within the next 24 hours. Take care. Thank you for stopping by. Really appreciate it. See you on the next one. Cheers.